Although this is strictly not required in order to use a computer, sometimes having access to a little bit of information about the computer can help you decide what might have gone wrong with it, or maybe you'll figure out which program you'd like to close down because the computer is giving some problems. Windows has a program called the Task Manager. Now, the way how to start the Task Manager is you come down to the Task menu and you use the right mouse button and you find a thing here, the entry called Task Manager. What the Task Manager is, it's a list of a number of tabs. I'm not so interested in most of the tabs, but I'm interested in this one right here called the Performance. This is a snapshot about how busy your computer is right now. So you can see at the moment my CPU is about 23% busy. And, well, guess what? As I start to open up applications, you'll see that my computer becomes a little bit busy while the program opens and then it goes back down to idle again. Okay, and when I close it, there's also a little spike in activity. If this is a low number like between 5 and 20%, you probably won't really notice there's anything happening on your computer. However, if you've got your CPU at 100%, well, that probably means that either some program is very busy doing something, or maybe one of the computer programs has gone bad, and maybe you want to close it up. Likewise, there's also a nice little graph in here that you can see how much of memory is currently in use. My Windows computer here has only 2 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, I know it's not very much, but you can see that at the moment I'm only using 1.1 gigabytes of RAM. I don't really have any RAM issues. Once again, if this was up at 100%, then maybe it's an indication that maybe I should close up some applications in order to free up some space. Likewise, there's also a little area here for showing how much activity is happening on the disk. And we'll see little tiny bits of stuff, but if you start opening up files and you start saving files, you may see things happen here. Sometimes I will find this all the way up at 100%, and usually that's an indication that Windows is doing something. And likewise, if you're curious to know about how much of your network is being used, you can go here to see how much data is actually going across your network, and at the moment, doesn't look like very much is happening. Okay, now that's the Performance tab. Also, there's an area called the Process tab, and these are the two tabs that I use most often. Quite often what I'm curious about, the only reason why I ever open this Task Manager is because my computer is operating very, very slowly. What I do is I open up the Task Manager, I come to the Process tab, or I check the Performance, but then I come to the Process tab and I sort by CPU. So you can see right now that the busiest application is actually, well, it was the Task Manager a few seconds ago. And it's an interesting thing, if I open up the calculator, we'll probably see the calculator busy for a couple of seconds while it gets ready, and then it goes back down and it's not nearly as busy. So whenever your calculator becomes active, you'll see it move to the top, okay? And then of course it goes back down. So sometimes you use this to find out which programs are using a lot of CPU. Sometimes I've seen it where a certain application like Microsoft Word, something will go wrong with it and suddenly it'll be 100%. And what I will do is I will get rid of the application and maybe try starting it again, and then it might be better the second time. You can also use it to find out which programs are using the most amount of memory, the most amount of the hard drive, or the most amount of the network by simply clicking on these things and bringing them up to the top. Something that I do use occasionally is if I get a program that simply goes out of control and I can't stop it, like if I click on the X and it doesn't go away, sometimes I will use the Task Manager. I will sort it by according to name, and then I will look for the application. And here it is right here. It's called Calculator. I will select it, and there's a little button down here called End Task. This gets rid of the application.